Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll please take your seats. We're going to get this program started as soon as everyone can grab their seats. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. We're going to get the program started as soon as everybody gets their seat. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats so we can get the program started. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2025 Russell Fry Freedom Fry is about to begin. If you'll please join me in a round of applause for the current South Carolina Republican Party Chairman, Mr. Drew McKissick.
Good evening, fellow Republicans. How are y'all this evening? Let me hear it. Are y'all proud to be Republicans tonight? Come on. No, that's not very good. Are y'all proud to be Trump Republicans tonight? Let me hear it. Come on. All right. Well, fantastic. Well, if y'all would all please rise with me. And I'm going to call to the stage Pastor Tom Wallace. Where's he at? Come ahead, sir. He's going to lead us all in the invocation.
Wow, the pastor gets up, everybody calms down. Oh, love you too, Robin. Guys, I think you all know we have a lot to be thankful for tonight. Our nation is not where it was. And we have a chance to turn this thing around, to stop the crazy and to follow God. I want you to bow your heads with me tonight. This is a serious word of prayer. When we start right, we end well. Amen? Let's bow our heads. To the Lord of all lords and the King of all kings, we pray tonight. Elections, midterms, party differences stir up anxiety, division, and unrest among the hearts of Americans. As debates get louder, opinions grow stronger, we ask tonight for your peace to guide our hearts and guide our minds. Help us not to place our hopes in political outcomes, but in your eternal kingdom. Calm our worries, God, about the future, and remind us that it is you that hold all things together. Teach us to speak with wisdom and courage while we walk with love and humility. When we vote, may we vote prayerfully. When we speak, may we speak respectfully. and then trust the results completely to your will. Lord, we ask for peace across this country, at our polling places, in conversations and debates on every platform. We pray for peace and healing in the Middle East and peace in Jerusalem. Protect us, God, from violence and from fear. Strengthen our communities and our party through grace and not conflict. Grant our current leadership wisdom, humility, and courage. Help them to serve with integrity. Help them to put aside selfish ambition and the temptation for backroom dealings and seek the good of all people, especially the aged and the widowed. Surround them, God, with godly counsel and upright advisors. We pray for unity among those in leadership and cooperation that serves the public good. May the power that we give to our elected officials not be abused, and may their accountability be welcomed and never avoided. Guide their hearts by your Spirit and by your word, and turn them toward righteousness. Let them reflect the values of your kingdom within these earthly institutions. We also pray for ourselves, God, those that receive news and social crazy media. Help us to read, study, watch, listen, pray, seek wisdom. May we not be driven by outrage or misinformation, but grounded in your word. Let your Spirit guide how we respond to what we hear. In every message, help us look for the clarity, the truth, and the peace. Not division and not stirring up other people in areas that we need to pray over. And let us not get caught up in gossip and spreading opinions. There's enough of that going on in the other party. God of peace, we come to you now with a deep cry for protection over our state, our cities, our neighborhoods, our communities, our party, and our nation. Political tensions are rising, and we fear, Lord, that the damage and the violence that unrest can bring. So we ask you to place a hedge of protection around polling stations, government buildings, public gatherings. Guard our law enforcement, guard our soldiers, the activists and everyday citizens from harm. We pray for calm where emotions run high, and do not let our anger lead to destruction, but instead let anger lead to good change. Change for dialogue and resolution. Disarm hate and inflame hearts with compassion and understanding. We ask you to stop the plans of those who seek to stir up division through violence or fear. Confuse their schemes and replace them with your peace. Raise up, oh God, peacemakers that will protect life and dignity above all else. And may your presence flood our streets and our nation with calm, peace, mercy, hope, and the patriotism that comes with a country that proclaims we are one nation under God, indivisible. And everybody said together, amen.
Can you always say amen one more time? Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Appreciate that. Now, if you would remain standing, Captain Jerry Robner, please come forward and is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all.
And remain standing, and we're going to have Joseph Goldsmith come forward and lead us in the national anthem. Where's Joseph? Oh, there we are. Come forward.
Holy Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we'd watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Be seated. Joseph, thank you for that. Y'all give him another round of applause for that. Thank you, sir. Well, thank you for coming out this evening. When I first got the request to come and be here to kick things off this evening from Russell's office, I was texting back and forth with Russell, and I said, after all the work you guys did on that piece of legislation here recently, you need to rename this thing the Big Beautiful Freedom Fry. I think it was too early to change the logo, or too late to change the logo, though, but I'm going to trademark that. So now if you use that next year, you're going to have to pay me some money, Russell. Well, look, I appreciate y'all being here this evening and everything that y'all do to help make it possible to come and to celebrate this evening, and to celebrate not only our party, but good elected officials, people who do the job, who know the job, know what they're elected to do, and represent our party with dignity and with that we can have pride in and appreciate the work that they do. If you would, all of you who are active at the county party level, a party office of any kind, any nature, raise your hand in this room. Let me see y'all. Y'all give them a round of applause. Because I appreciate that. I appreciate it because y'all make it possible for us to be here this evening to be able to celebrate good elected officials. And we've got a good one here in the 7th Congressional District. Y'all agree? We got one here in the 7th Congressional District who knows the party from the bottom up. He did just like all of you, got active, got started in the local county party, went on to serve in leadership in our county party, then served in the State House and now in Congress. He knows the party, he knows the state from the grassroots level up, and I appreciate that because, not all elected officials do. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate elected officials, I appreciate candidates. We can't win campaigns without candidates. We got to have people who are willing to run, but I especially appreciate those who know the grassroots and know the party. Russell knows the grassroots, he knows the party. He has done a fantastic job since he's been elected to Congress, and he is going on to become a conservative rock star in Washington, D.C. Y'all give Russell Fry a round of applause.
through life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The echoes of greatness are all around us. Dreamers, rebels, cowboys, and fighters. In South Carolina, we're conservatives who bleed the red, white, and blue. Like Congressman Ralph Norman was one of us. Surfside Beach, born and raised, a family man, who's fighting every day for Donald Trump and America's golden age.
Now more than ever, we need conservatives, actual conservatives, to stand up. Russell Fry. Russell is a conservative warrior who will give no quarter to the socialist left.
It's Monday night in South Carolina. Welcome to Russell's Freedom Fry.
Hello, Myrtle Beach. How we doing? Well, I love you too. Welcome to the second annual Freedom Fry. Who came to the first one? All right. Well, we've doubled the crowd since then, so that's good. It's fun, right? I'll tell you what, I'm proud to represent South Carolina and South Carolina's 7th congressional district in the United States Congress because of you. Thank you. And I'm also proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with President Trump as we keep making America great. You know, I grew up in a little house in Surfside Beach. Cinder block house. We didn't have much in the way of worldly possessions or money, but what we lacked there, we more than made up for in other things: faith, family, and a love of our country and our community, much like you, right? Right? I know what it's like for families to make tough choices because I lived it. I know what it's like for families to not know where they're going to get their next meal. Because we lived it. We didn't have a lot. And I know what it's like to work hard, respect the flag, and never stop believing in the promise of this great country. You know, Bronwyn and I built our family here. You gonna cry? In the Grand Strand. I practiced law in our community. Scholarships and student loans and all the stuff to get there. And we wanted to, you know, show firsthand how freedom and opportunity can change lives. You know, my wife, our son just started his first day in 3rd grade. And I don't know that people appreciate much or they don't think about it, but political spouses, if you're a political spouse, raise your hand. There's a few of you in the room. You know. It's a lot. It's a lot. You know, I'm in D.C. She's holding the fort down here. When I'm home, there's a recalibration period, right? Where I'm there, but I'm not quite there. Political spouses do a lot. And they don't say a lot. Sometimes they can't say a lot. If somebody cusses me out on Twitter, they want to bring the knives out, right? Like they're ready to go. But you can't do that. You can't do that. But really appreciate you and what you mean to me and to our family. So last year, we talked about what would a President Trump look like in his second administration. And this year, with President Trump back in the White House, are y'all excited about that? We are winning again. The border is secure. You know, the president said, he was right about this. He said, you know, it turns out you didn't need a new law. You just needed a new president, right? Inflation is down. Energy is roaring. The world respects us again because we put America and Americans first. Under President Trump, even inflation got deported. Tonight, we're not here for a campaign, we're here for a cause, to celebrate our victories and steel our spines for the fights ahead. President Trump is charging forward. Congress is delivering. It's kind of refreshing to see Congress working. And South Carolina is leading the way. Republican wins, powered by coffee sprinkled with liberal tears. We're happy to have it. You know, Democrats can't fix the pothole, but they want to tell us that they can fix the climate, right? Like, this is what we live with. But let's see who we have here in the crowd. If you traveled from anywhere outside the 7th District, let me hear you make some noise. All right, I got a few of you. If you're from the PD region of South Carolina, let me hear you make some noise. All right, that's a good crowd. All right, but if you live on the Grand Strand or your Georgetown counties, let me hear you. All right. You could have been anywhere tonight, but you chose to be right here on a Monday for the 2nd annual Freedom Fry, and I really appreciate that. You chose wisely. We have an incredible lineup of people, much bigger than last year. State constitutional officers, members of Congress, our senior senator, Lindsey Graham, and one of the sharpest conservative voices in all of America. I don't know how he does it. Scott Jennings, everybody. Are y'all ready to hear some common sense? But before I dive in, I want to thank our sponsors for tonight. If you sponsored a table, please raise your hand. Thank you. Thank you. If you came tonight, you gave anything, I really appreciate your efforts, because the grassroots is important, as Drew talked about, but we don't propel to victory without fundraising. And it's the worst part of this job, but y'all make it so much easy looking at this crowd tonight, so thank you. If you're a member of the South Carolina House or Senate, I want to recognize you. See Senator Goldfinch over here, where he was here somewhere. There he is. Y'all stand up for a second. In the state legislature, these are the labyrinths of democracy. These are the ones that are putting it all on the line, making the tough choices. But if you're a local elected official, I want you to stand up. Be recognized. You know, the old mayor of my hometown, Surfside Beach, Bob Childs, when I was in the state legislature, said, "Russell, you've got the toughest job in the world." I said, "Well, Mayor, I beg to differ." He said, "Well, you have to go to Columbia and you have to travel and be away from your family. That's got to be really tough." I said, "Mayor, sometimes it is. But if somebody's trash doesn't get picked up, or their pothole doesn't get fixed, or their ditch isn't cleaned out, they know where you live and they're coming to your house." At least I get to go to Columbia or Washington, huh? If you're a first responder or veteran, either active right now or retired, I want to thank you if you will stand up. Thank you. Thank you for what you do in our communities. And of course, those who served our country, either active now or a veteran, would you please stand? From a grateful nation, thank you. Last year, I stood before you making the case for electing Donald Trump. I said that we would secure the border, and guess what? We did it. I said that we would cut wasteful spending, and thanks to President Trump, the one big beautiful bill, just one, not two, just one, DOGE efforts, and a Congress willing to work, we have done that and cut spending. I said that we would unleash American energy, and guess what? That is happening because you elected Donald Trump as President of the United States. By the way, I'm going to go off script here for a second. Can I go off script? I'm going to go off script. Speaking of President Trump, who I have a great relationship with and love talking to, it's very intimidating when you're standing on stage speaking to a crowd like this, when the president is right here, commenting as you speak, right? So we were in New Hampshire, and it was cold. It was so cold. We go inside, and I'm nervous because I'm speaking, and it's cold, and I'm not used to this. And they said, "Russell, we want you to we're in New Hampshire. We want to win this race in New Hampshire. Nikki Haley was doing well there. We want to make sure that she stops here and doesn't get to South Carolina. So I'm up here and I'm like, Nikki Haley, when she was governor, whatever she did. And he's like, that's true. She totally did that. Yep. Despicable, terrible. So it's a little challenging. But what I love about the One Big Beautiful Bill is its focus on the working class. It is a bill for the working class, for the men and women in this country who make America run. Democrats, they say they care about the working class, just not the part where people actually have to work, right? Y'all ever heard of Trump derangement syndrome, by the way? Y'all heard of that term? It's a real thing. TDS is like watching somebody yell at a cloud for 4 years. Like something's not right here. TDS is turning normal political disagreements into full-blown medical conditions since 2015, y'all. But we're going to keep it out. Tonight, you're going to be hearing from several members of Congress and elected officials from across the state on things that they're doing to make America great again. Before they join me on stage, I want to remind everyone that we're here to celebrate. We're here to learn and be inspired. Let's show respect to every speaker and guest on the stage because they only have a couple minutes, 2 to 3, to speak. Otherwise, I'm going to come up here with the hook, right? And now let's get this kicked off. The first speaker we have tonight is Congressman Joe Wilson from South Carolina's 2nd Congressional District. I've gotten to know Joe very well. He's the dean of our House delegation. He's the longest serving member in South Carolina House Republican delegation in Washington. He focuses a ton on peace through strength, keeping America strong against our adversaries. And he is committed, obviously, and always has been, to keeping your taxes low. But he's a great figure to learn from, and I've really enjoyed serving with our congressman from the Midlands area. Congressman Joe Wilson, everybody.
And ladies and gentlemen, fellow Republicans, I'm so grateful to be here with my family members, Emily and Valerino and Emily, Manuel, thank you. And so I get to be with family when I come. In addition to the Attorney General, I'm glad that Alan's here too. But hey, it's a family affair, and that's the way I feel about the Republican Party. And I want to thank, indeed, I'm here to thank you for electing Russell Fry. And Russell has been such a meaningful member of the Whip Committee. He's just being too humble. Okay, he was there to, we have a margin of 2 out of 435, and we won by 1. And that is to have a tax cut that provides that you keep your own money. A family of 4 keeps $10,000. And so Russell was there with the Whip team and successful. And then I'm so grateful on the Energy and Commerce Committee. Who would ever imagine we have a president who believes in all of the above energy? No war on fossil fuels, but actually to reduce gas prices, which is occurring. And then very important, I represent the Savannah River site. I would love to see small modular reactors built in South Carolina, creating jobs. And I can't believe he's infringed on what I was going to say about immigration. He's on the Judiciary Committee. He said all along, we don't need new laws. We need to enforce the laws we have. And that's been done. It's been 100% successful. But also the latest news you need to be aware is that President Donald Trump has succeeded by having 2 million illegal aliens leave the United States. What an achievement. And so indeed, Russell Fry is making a difference. You're making a difference. Hey, to see so many friendly faces is amazing. So I'm just so grateful to see so many. It is like a family reunion. God bless you. Thank you. We appreciate Russell Fry. Thank you.
Y'all give it up for Congressman Joe Wilson. Our next speaker is Congressman Ralph Norman from the great city of Rock Hill, 5th Congressional District. Ralph is a steadfast conservative, has been since he's been in the State House. I'm proud to fight along him on principles of limited government, individual liberties, and sound financial policy. Congressman Norman serves on the Financial Services Committee, Budget and Rules, which is one of the most powerful and important committees in Congress. But I'm proud to welcome to the stage my friend, Congressman Ralph Norman.
Thank you, Russell. I don't know of any other politician that could have a Trump-like crowd and charge the money he charges and gets as many people. I need to know your secret, Russell. No, first of all, thank all of the people here. Thank the party activists. You are where the rubber meets the road. You are the ones that make this party what it is and make South Carolina great. This man is the real deal. And I want to give you my congressional coin, and I want to tell you, we get humbled every day. We were in the White House and President Trump, and I didn't know you could mimic him like you do. He's good. There's one, Mike Johnson can mimic Donald Trump, but Russell is very good. But anyway, I said, Mr. President, as a memento for having us back in the White House, I'd like to give you my coin. And I won't tell you what he called my coin, but he said it's BS. He said, here's a coin. I meant to bring it. The coin is like that. It's like a saucer. And one of the nicest coins I've seen. He told me, he said, you know, the person that did this, he found, it was a real ornate. The guy put 45 and 47 before he was elected. But he said, and President Trump said, I want to pay him an extraordinary amount of money. He said, I've never had this happen. The guy said, when he offered him the money, he said, I don't want the money. What you're doing for the country is worth every ounce of my time and effort in this coin. So, Russell, I want to present you with my coin. And I will miss serving. Next year will be my last year that I will serve in Congress. I'll be running for governor. But I'm so proud. Folks, what you see is what you get. Washington has not changed Russell Fry. Russell Fry has changed Washington. And Russell knows this. And I talked to one of his staffers tonight, and there are a lot of staffers who are working for congressmen who do not like that congressman. They work for him, but they do not like him. This guy has got the biggest cheerleading squad of the people who know him the best. They love everything he does. And Joe Wilson is the same way. I will return the compliment for Joe. Everybody loves Joe Wilson. And if you want a picture, all you got to do is go with Joe Wilson. But Russell, it's such an honor. What an honor, each one of you. This is one of the fastest growing areas of the state. And you could not find a better person to represent you than Russell Fry. And it's such an honor for me to be here tonight. I was here last year. He doubled the size here tonight. So thank each of you for supporting a great guy. He will keep sending him to Washington, D.C. because he's changing Washington in a great way, and it's all about freedom. God bless each and every one of you.
Well, dang. Now, he's right about the President's Challenge coins. I was in the Oval Office, and we go in there, and he's like, do you like what I've done with the place? Yeah, it looks good. He's like, you know, Joe Biden had one photo in here. He didn't even know who it was. So he shows these challenges. He's like, you like these, Russell? I'm like, yeah, I do. He's like, watch, Russell. He only gets one coin, not two. Okay, not two. But Ralph is right. They are like saucers. They're so big. Next, I want to welcome to the stage somebody I've had the privilege of serving with both in Congress, but also at the State House. Congresswoman Nancy Mace represents the Low Country of South Carolina. She and I served on the Oversight Committee just last year, holding the Biden administration accountable. She is the first female graduate of the Citadel, and we're proud to welcome to the stage Nancy Mace, Congresswoman Nancy. There she is. Hey, Nancy.
Thank you, Russell. Who is sleeping better at night knowing that Donald J. Trump is in the White House? Give it up for the president. And you know who carried President Trump in South Carolina? You right here in the PD, the Grand Strand, Horry County, everybody in this room carried Trump. And you know who carried Russell Fry? You carried Russell Fry with the help of the President, Donald J. Trump, in that hard-fought race. And it's a true honor to serve with Russell. He's been there. He was there when we voted on the big, beautiful bill. Just a few weeks ago, we gave every single South Carolinian the greatest tax cut in American history because we in this room elected Donald Trump as president. Russell and I have worked together for a long time. He knows how I like to hold the line in Congress because Russell serves with me on the Oversight Committee. He's there holding the line for each and every one of you, for our daughters, for our soldiers, for our veterans, for everybody. But if you needed a reminder on how I hold the line, well, we can just ask ABC News' George Stephanopoulos. He learned a $15 million lesson in my interview just last year or two, and the president won a $15 million defamation suit in that interview. I, as a rape survivor, went into the lion's den, and I defended Donald J. Trump because he defends us. Real men protect women, and Donald Trump protects women. And I have to tell you, coming into Horry County tonight, there are so many real men protecting women in here. I see no men in skirts. So thank you for that. But if you need a reminder how I will hold the line as your future governor, look no further than the director of the Secret Service, Kim Cheadle. On the Oversight Committee last summer, we had the director of the Secret Service. Weeks after Donald Trump was shot, she lied to you. She lied to Congress. And someone filed a motion to impeach her. That's nice. But it wasn't filed as a privileged motion to demand and require a vote within 48 hours. You know who filed the privileged motion to demand a vote to impeach the director of the Secret Service after Donald Trump was shot? I did. And you know what she did 12 hours after I filed that motion? The director of the Secret Service resigned. So I will hold the line for every one of you in this room, but I want to say one thing before I close it out. I'm from here. Who's been to Marion? Who's been to Sellers? Anybody from there? My family's from there. Antioch Church, the Maces, the Watsons, they're buried there. And I have raised my family here. I work here. I love South Carolina. I love what I do. In fact, I was the first woman 26 years ago to graduate from the Citadel, the Military College of South Carolina. A place where we don't burn the American flag, we salute it. And when I dropped out of school at the age of 17, my parents said, my retired Army General father and my retired school teacher mother said, they said, if you're gonna stop going to school, you're gonna start going to work. And I took that job as a Waffle House waitress. And I'm still the same girl from the Waffle House. I am still the same girl from Goose Creek. Nothing has changed, except I'm going to fight hard for each and every one of you because I love you. May God bless you, and God bless Russell Fry and everybody from Horry County and the Freedom Fry tonight, and God bless Donald J. Trump. May he live forever. Thank you.
You know, Congresswoman Mace is right. The hearing on Director Cheadle with the Secret Service, it was so uncomfortable in that room. So uncomfortable to the point where Democrats even were saying publicly, which never happens, like, how, you're not giving us much choice to defend you. You're not giving us anything at all. So that was accountability gone right. Thankfully, she retired or resigned. Our next speaker is no stranger to the Grand Strand. She is our current and 93rd Lieutenant Governor of South Carolina and the first female Lieutenant Governor since taking office of January of 2019. Pam Evott has been laser focused on utilizing her professional background to highlight South Carolina's thriving small business ecosystem and attract new businesses to the state. Last year, Lieutenant Governor Evott was named the chair of the National Lieutenant Governors Association. And please give me a warm welcome for our Lieutenant Governor, Pam Evott.
Well, hello, Horry County. Are you having fun already? Yes. So great to see you, friends, neighbors. You know, when you're like the fifth speaker, it gets harder and harder to find new amazing things to say about our friend Russell Fry. But I want to tell you an interesting story. So when I first became lieutenant governor, you see, I came from the business world. So I got into my office and I thought, okay, what am I going to do now? So I decided to take a walk up to the House. And I said, well, what do we do in business, right? We make friends. And probably one of the first friends I made was Russell Fry. And he was so sweet and he was inviting and we sat and talked. And you know, that's what's important now about Russell being in Congress. Because from the state level, we need good partners. We need people that represent South Carolina well, that work with what we're doing in the state. So this year, energy was a big part of the initiative the governor and I had. Working really hard to make sure that we got, well, what I told Secretary Zeldin and the Vice President when they came to New Corps, I said, Secretary, Mr. Vice President, I said, we're going to pass this big, beautiful energy bill here in South Carolina. And I said, and when we do that, how can we get help from the federal government? And he said, well, President Trump told me that I had 10 weeks to get rid of useless regulations. And I thought, well, that sounds about right, because the president doesn't sleep, so he doesn't expect any of us to sleep. And it's so important to have people from our state like Congressman Fry. And I can tell you, I travel around the country an awful lot with the Republican Lieutenant Governors Association and RSLC. And I've been really focused on energy. And everywhere I go, there are state legislative House members and senators that come up to me and say, Russell Fry is amazing. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And he's a personal friend. And that's what we want, don't we? Don't we want, when we hold our head up high, when we turn on the TV and we see a fellow South Carolinian, don't we want to have that same pride? So Russell, thank you so much. Thank you for making us proud of everything you do, because that's so important. And I'm proud every time I see when they pass the One Big Beautiful Bill. I took a picture of Russell. I was at home, my mom and I. My mom says hello. I know I talk about her a lot of times. She'll be 97 this year, living with me. Yes, that's the blessing. But she said, isn't that your friend? And I said, yes. So I took a picture of Russell standing there and sent it to him and said, Russell, we're watching you. You did great. And you know, that's what's important to me. It's important to me that we have somebody in Congress that stand with our president, Donald J. Trump. Is that important to all of you too? You know, when you go back and you look at President Trump, I mean, we did sit here last year and say, what would a second Trump candidacy look like? And I have not been disappointed. I hope none of you have either. And I don't think so, because you wouldn't be here if you were. But it was important back then, back when there was no polling, back when the Democrats were coming after him. President Trump came to South Carolina to announce that he was running for president. And Russell, there wasn't a lot of us, but you and I were standing there with him. And I am proud that you have stood with President Trump every step of the way, never being a challenge, always being his friend. Thank you so much for representing South Carolina. Thank you for standing with Donald Trump. May God bless you all. Thank you for what you do here in South Carolina. May God bless this amazing nation. May God always bless and protect our president, Donald J. Trump. Thank you all so much. Keep voting for this guy. We need him.
You know, Lieutenant Governor is, she's here, she's in the upstate, she travels around a bunch. The business focus is huge for our state. You know, our governor says, and I'm gonna try to impersonate him. Should I do that? Yeah. Everybody's coming here, nobody's leaving, you know, so. This is true. But it's because we have a good business climate here in the state, thanks to our state legislature and our governor, Lieutenant Governor. Thank you. Our next speaker is a man who I've known for a long time, Attorney General Alan Wilson. Alan is serving now in his 4th term as our Attorney General after being reelected in November of 22. He's also served in the National Guard for 25 years, including a combat tour in Iraq, achieving the rank of colonel. In July of 2024, Attorney General Wilson graduated from the U.S. Army War College with a master's in strategic studies. He has served as the chairman of RAGA, which is the Republican Attorney General's Association. And as Attorney General, he has focused a lot on challenging the Biden administration, fighting for life, fighting, getting criminals off the street, and upholding our belief in the rule of law. He has sued the Biden administration, actually I didn't know this, a whopping 50 times when it overstepped its authority, which was like an everyday occurrence with the Biden administration. Please welcome to the stage our Attorney General, Alan Wilson.
How we doing over Reed County? We doing good tonight? Let's hear it for Russell Fry. My name is Alan Wilson. I'm your Attorney General. It is an honor to be with all of you tonight. This event keeps getting bigger every year, and Russell, that's a testament to your popularity and your commitment to public service in this area of the state, and not just in this area of the state, but for all of the state. I want to let you know something. On Monday of this past week, I called Russell to say, Russell, I got something I need you to come to in Greenville. Now, for those of you who don't have a map, Greenville's on the other side of the state. I said, I'm bringing in Attorney General Pam Bondi, and she's coming in to meet with a large number of sheriffs and senior federal law enforcement officials, DEA, FBI, ICE, among others, and we're going to do a law enforcement summit. And he goes, Alan, let me call you right back. I'm going to see if I can move my schedule around. And sure enough, he moved his schedule around, and I think you called me Wednesday night about 11 o'clock saying y'all were arriving in Greenville to stay in a hotel so that he could be up that morning at that law enforcement summit. That's your level of commitment. Also, as a 14-year incumbent Attorney General, I worked with him in the State House, and I can tell you every time we were asking for funding to grow the Human Trafficking Task Force or expand the jurisdiction of the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, or to grow the Solicitor General's office, which is what we use to sue. And by the way, you said 50 times. Between the Biden and Obama administrations, it was between 200 and 300 legal actions. So it was 50 times just Obama, but we got busy after that. But it was because of the lawyers and the people we were hiring to defend and protect the Constitution, and thank you for your support on that. As a member of Congress, Russell was there helping me pass legislation to protect children online and expand our efforts to protect people from human trafficking in South Carolina. Russell, this state could not have a better servant than you serving in the 7th District. Thank you for everything that you do for this community. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many of you have heard me speak, but I'm going to give you just a couple of brief anecdotes from my life to illustrate who I am. I am the Attorney General for South Carolina, and I am a candidate for governor. And I wanted to just, because I don't have an opportunity to see all of you in this room at this time, I want to tell you briefly about me. As a 29-year combat veteran and a colonel in the National Guard, I've had the opportunity to lead soldiers in combat. I did that twice in Iraq, once on August 20th, 2004, when an IED blew up a vehicle behind my Humvee, riddling my vehicle with shrapnel, missing me and my soldiers by mere inches, going out the front windshield. And then the following night, when we received small arms fire in downtown Baghdad. I don't say that to brag about me. I say that to brag about the heroism of the young soldiers who are between the ages of 20 and 24, how I watched them respond and how they followed orders and how we were able to get out of there without one soldier dying or being harmed. One of the proudest moments of my life is to lead those soldiers. So hoo-ah to the Army. Another story I want to tell you. Story is back in the wake of the 2020 election, I was involved in a multi-state lawsuit that went to the U.S. Supreme Court about election integrity in the 2020 election. What a lot of you didn't know, and I mentioned this at the Silver Elephant dinner last week, but after that lawsuit was filed, I had 32 complaints filed against me with the Office of Disciplinary Counsel by Democratic operatives from all over South Carolina seeking to take my law license because of the role that I played in that case going to the Supreme Court. For 4 years and nearly $100,000 in defending my law license, my livelihood, and I couldn't talk about it. None of you knew about it, but I did that because I did that lawsuit because it was the right thing to do. And it all got dismissed in June of this year. I can talk about it now. It cost me about $100,000, but we won. The reason I tell you these stories about me is to say that it's easy to make decisions when your life and the lives of those around you doesn't depend on it. It's easy to support the president and members of Congress and other people when everyone in the room is agreeing with you and you're saying things that everyone agrees with. But support the president when it costs you your livelihood. That's where the rubber meets the road. A governor needs to be someone who can make tough decisions and do what is right, not as what is popular. A governor needs to make tough decisions. And when you can make decisions in a combat zone without fear for your own safety, then you can make decisions as governor. If you can lay your livelihood on the line in defense of the president and the rule of law, when it's not popular, when people are coming after you, then you can do the right thing no matter what people think. I offer that to you because that's the kind of governor I will be. We're going to eliminate the income tax. We're going to doge South Carolina from top to bottom, from school districts to state agencies. We're going to reform education. We're going to prioritize infrastructure, including energy. We're going to protect families and reform education, making universal school choice a reality. We're going to do this, and we're going to do it with your help. I'm going to close with this because my time is running out. This is what I want you to know. In here, there's a bunch of fine people running for this office. For those of you who have already agreed to support me publicly or privately, thank you. Thank you for your support. For those of you who are on the fence and don't know what to do, I hope you'll give me the opportunity to earn your trust and earn your vote over the next 10 months. For those of you who have gone a different direction, I understand. That's how these things are. Primary, come on up, Russell. Primaries are big family fights, and at the end, we all get behind our candidate. But I just thank you for the opportunity to try to be your candidate. I love this party. I love this state. I love all of you for being here. Thank you so much. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Our next speaker is a dear friend of mine, and one of the successes, I think, of the big, beautiful bill that doesn't get talked about a lot is its focus on school choice and empowering parents. That there's not a one-size-fits-all model. That is not working. We've had a federal Department of Education for decades. We've given them more money, and they've produced worse results. One person at the state level who is leading the charge on empowering parents much greater than they have in the past is our Superintendent of Education, Ellen Weaver. Ellen, where are you at? Come on up. There she is. By the way, you got to watch her because she'll steal your campaign volunteers when you win.
Shamelessly. Thank you. Russell, so great to be here tonight. I tell you what, if Horry County keeps growing, we're just going to start calling South Carolina Greater Horry County. It is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, next year you're going to have quadrupled the crowd, I'm sure, because that's the kind of leader that you are. You stand on conservative principles and you bring people together in the process. And I just want to tell every single person in this room how honored I am to represent your voice and your values in education here in South Carolina. I truly believe that there is no more important job, and I may be a little bit biased, I'll be honest, but our children's education is the foundation of every single piece of South Carolina's future. Whether we're talking about our economy, or whether we're talking about the values and the vision and the promise that has made America great for 250 years, it all starts with the power of education. Education is the front door of the American dream. And let me tell you what it looks like under a second Trump presidency. I no longer have to fight an administration trying to push woke politics from Washington into our schools' classrooms. And instead, we are focused on the fundamentals. Here in South Carolina, we are teaching our children to read. And you know the constituent that I care about in the Fry household? James, that third grader. Because if you can't read by the end of third grade, you are much less likely to be successful in life. And we're fighting to change that here in South Carolina. And the great news is we are making progress, and we're going to be rolling out that progress for public consumption in the next few weeks. I'm so excited. Our teachers are working so hard, and I am going to tell you that our students here in South Carolina are every bit as smart, as creative, and as talented as any students anywhere on God's green earth. And we are going to give our very, very best to make sure that they get our very best. We're fighting for school choice, just like you said, so that parents have expanded access to opportunities. How many of you know Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs? Okay? So Mike Rowe recently said, you know the jobs that AI isn't going to take away? Carpentry, plumbing, the trades, the skilled trades. So we are platforming career pathways here in South Carolina. Whether you go to college, whether you go into a career, or whether you enlist in the military so honorably as my brother did, we are going to elevate and celebrate every single student pathway to success. It does not require a four-year college degree. And finally, our students are going to be so proud to be an American during our 250th anniversary as a country. We have so many exciting partnerships that we are going to roll out to make sure that every single student in our state understands not just the price that was paid for our freedom 250 years ago, but the fact that that price was paid right here on the battlefields of South Carolina. Y'all, the war may have started on the battlefields of Lexington and Concord. It was won on the soil of Carolina and the blood of Carolina patriots. And I want our children in every classroom, in every school, to know that and to be proud of that, and to understand how grateful we can be to have an America today because of the price that was paid by our forefathers and foremothers here in South Carolina. So with that, I just want to say thank you again for trusting me to do this job. We together are making education great again here in the state of South Carolina. Thank you so much.
You know, Ellen, you're right. My son can read by third grade. In fact, he told us this summer, he said, I want a book on quantum physics. Like, I don't even know what that is, but okay. So he can read. We got great teachers at Seaside Elementary. Thank you for what you do. Our next speaker is a guy that I have known for a long time. And if you go to a Republican Party meeting or you talk to the activists, he's kind of a fan favorite because he not only talks the talk, but he walks the walk. He's done it since 2010 as our state treasurer. He is a super whiz on financial stuff. And we're happy to have him in Myrtle Beach this year. I think something happened last year. He couldn't make it, but we're happy to have our treasurer, Curtis Loftess, in Myrtle Beach tonight.
If you're like me, it's hard to believe Russell's in Congress. Russell, remember when we had lunch at that broken down tavern in Salt Lake City? And I'd asked him once, you want to be in Congress? And this was early on. He said, no. But I knew he was destined for Congress because as we walked out, he took the tips off of every table. All kidding aside, I had to look up to see how long Russell had been in Congress because it seemed to me like he'd been there a long time. I thought 3 terms, 4 terms, a term and a half. You have done well, despite what people thought. You have done very well, and we're proud of you. We had a drinking game over there. I bet Ralph Norman, but Ralph ran out of money. How many times could we say Donald Trump? And if I'd have known, we could say, how many times could we say Donald J. Trump? We would all be drunk and we'd all be broke. But we like Donald Trump. We're lucky to have him. We're lucky to be at a time when the president is somebody who understands us and we understand him. I'm the odd guy out. One, I'm toward the end, so there's nothing left to say that hadn't already been said. Other than I run a $75 billion bank at the heart of state government. And I am always under pressure. I'm on my 12th official investigation. I believe it's official that I'm the most investigated person in the state ever. There are 2 more multi-million-dollar investigations already lined up. So by the time I get to re-election, I'll be on my 14th. And all I can say is we need to bring Donald Trump and that thought back to state government. We have a lot of really good and honorable people in government, but we've got to push them to the top. We've got to push them to the forward, and we've got to stop letting those who want to represent the rich and powerful be in charge, because there's one thing I know is the rich and powerful don't make up the 5.3 million people that I serve every day. It's an odd thing to be at election time, and I don't have opposition yet. I could very well have it tomorrow. it's a funny thing. The more that the state Senate chases me and investigates me, the higher my poll numbers get. So while I would rather go out and buy that support, it's probably not a bad thing. And what I can say to all of you is, I love my job. I've been honored to be here for far longer than I'd ever thought. And I was planning on going home. I bought a place out in Colorado. I was going to buy a place the other direction, 6 or 7 hours east. But I can't leave. There are people that want your money. And it's a $75 billion bank, and they want to run it without signing a single contract. They want to sign it without hiring anybody. They want the benefits from afar. And I've spent what'll be 14 years of my life accumulating talented, professional, and honest people, and I'll be damned if I have it ruined by a few people. So I want you to help me. I want you to support me. And I want you to make sure that we stand up for honor and integrity. Those of us who put ourselves in the way of the bad guys, of the people who want to run your money, need help. And I know that I can help on you because you've helped me every time before. So I ask you for that, as I thank you for allowing me to be here, as I thank Russell for allowing me to be here, and I thank you for your support. Yeah.
Our next gentleman, the Secretary of State office in South Carolina, I'm not going to say it's obscure because I don't want to frame it like that, but it's a little bit different than other states. Other states handle the voting things through their Secretary of State. Ours is a cheerleader for small business. Our Secretary of State, Mark Hammond, has made a hallmark in creating a customer service-oriented office, delivering transparency, and making it easier to open a business in South Carolina, which we like, right, Lieutenant Governor? Everyone welcome to the stage, Secretary of State, Mark Hammond.
Thank you, Russell. I've known Russell for many years now. I think 2014, he was vice president of the Horry County Republican Party, and I asked him if he'd put a few signs up for me, maybe about 30, and he did that, and I told him I'll never forget it. And I greatly appreciate that. And when he was in the House, he was a friend of the office, and he was able to help me pass a lot of legislation and do some things that benefited the state of South Carolina. And like he said earlier, a lot of people aren't very familiar with the Secretary of State's office. When I ran many years ago, they had career day at my son's elementary school. I think he was in the 5th grade, and the teacher said, "What does your dad do for a living?" And he looked up at that teacher and said, "My dad puts out signs." That's all he knew that his dad was doing for a living. I was clerk of court also and put up a lot of signs. But thank you for letting me serve as your Secretary of State. The Secretary of State's office is integral in the transaction of business here in the state of South Carolina. We had almost 90,000 corporate formations last year. You can judge the state's economy by the activity in the Secretary of State's office, just like you can look around here in Horry County and tell that things are booming. And I'd like to thank Russell, and I'd also like to thank the U.S. delegation here from South Carolina, because me, along with 17 other Secretary of State, sent a letter to President Trump telling him that we must end the collection of beneficial ownership. Is anyone familiar with the collection of beneficial ownership? And, elections matter. It matters a lot. And I would like to thank President Trump for ending that policy of collecting beneficial ownership here for the United States and for South Carolina. It would have cost small businesses in this country $145 million. And it was only businesses with $5 million or less that had to do this aggravation and file that with the Treasury Department. So again, elections matter. Thank you, Russell, and thank President Trump. It was also an honor to serve with Russell on the President Trump's leadership team. That was a real honor, and we we got it done, didn't we? And again, thank you for sending Russell to Washington. I would like to mention one other thing to you. You know, the Secretary of State's office is the person who enforces the Solicitation of Charitable Funds Act here in South Carolina. And you know South Carolina is one of the most generous states in the nation. How about give yourself a hand of applause? And then we find out how generous and how we care about our neighbors after Helene. Didn't we rise to the occasion? Yes, we did. But as your Secretary of State, I'm not going to let anyone take advantage of our generosity. And I now have a free app. So if you have a phone, you can download a free app. Secretary of State's office is called Give Smart SC. Give Smart SC. If you receive a solicitation, you can pull it up while you're talking to the person that is soliciting. It will go straight into our database. It will tell you if they're registered. It'll tell you how much money they raised. But most important, it will tell you how much is going toward the charitable purpose. So please download that on your app. We have over 2,000 people who have downloaded, and with this great crowd that Russell brought together, we're going to have over 3,000 after tonight, aren't we? Again, thank you for letting me serve as your Secretary of State, and I said this many years ago. I've held true to my promise. You call the Secretary of State's office, you're going to talk to somebody on the phone, and customer service is always going to come first. And as your Secretary of State, I will enforce the Solicitation of Charitable Funds Act. God bless you all. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, the Secretary's right. We were on the original Trump leadership team in South Carolina. It reminded me of a story. It was funny. We met the president at the airport in Columbia right before the Clemson-Carolina game 2 years ago. And I've never been in a caravan or motorcade before. That was wild. You know, they have the oh shit handles on there. You got to like hold on to because they're flying through traffic. We get to the stadium and the president's like loving this because people are just going nuts. And not just people who have graduated from the University of South Carolina or Clemson, but the students. And he's just high-fiving everybody, and Secret Service is, you know, having a meltdown. And we get up to our seats, and I'm standing next to the president, and the stadium's kind of, if you've ever been to Williams-Brice, I've been in the upper deck a little bit, it kind of wobbles like this a little bit. And everyone's, you know, cheering, and they can see him in the stadium. And he goes, "Oh, these are beautiful people. Look at them. Look at this guy. Yep." And he goes, "Does it always shake like this?" I'm like, "You know, sir, Scott, I don't know about Kentucky or Louisville, but in South Carolina, if it ain't swaying, we ain't playing, right?" And it was funny because he loved it. And then I turned to my right, and Secret Service is like looking around at the structural integrity of Williams-Brice, like wondering if it's going to collapse, like when they can drop the helicopters in to get them out. But that was Mark. We were there for that one. Our next speaker is a man that needs no introduction. He's our senior senator from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham. Senator Graham, you know, at first, Senator, him and the president weren't on speaking terms, is probably the polite way to put it, right? But the president has a great relationship with our senior senator. They play golf together. I think Lindsey loses. I think I stole your joke, but when you think about the Senate and the rules and the weird nuances of the House or the Senate, there's no person in the Senate that's fighting harder to impact the MAGA agenda than Senator Lindsey Graham. Welcome to the stage, our senior senator, Lindsey Graham.
All right here. This is the man. Where's his wife? Stand up. Where's your kids at? Stand up. You know, I do this for a living, and it ain't easy. I want to thank you and your family for representing us in the Grand Strand like in an unbelievable way. You do a great job. More Russell Fry. How many of you for that? All right. Now, me and Trump got off to a rocky start. I was one of 16 people running for president in 2016. If you don't remember it, it's not your fault. It didn't last very long. I think I'm the only guy who got a T-shirt out of it all. But anyway, campaigns are campaigns. And when it was over, he called me and he said, "I'd like you to help me." And I said, "Sure." And Scott, you're speaking after me, right? Just relax. I'll be quick. I don't know what they pay you, but it ain't enough. And you should get a Purple Heart. I only watch CNN to watch you. So anyway, President Trump and I had lunch, then we played golf. And I tried to beat him and I lost. He is a damn good golfer. He's a very good host. And people ask, what happened between the two of you? I said, we found common ground. I've come to like the president and he likes him. So that pretty much is what we have in common. I think he's a great president and he thinks he's a great president. But we're here today to talk about Russell. It is not easy being in Congress, is it, Joe? It's not easy for the family, a lot of sacrifice. You represent us well. You know what I like about Russell? He hadn't forgotten his backyard. He doesn't mind getting money in Washington back to Myrtle Beach. If anybody ever needed more roads, you need them here. You can't get here from there. And we're going to do I-77. We're going to get that done, and road, water, sewer, all that stuff matters. You're a cash cow. I'm from Seneca. And every dollar we give you on the Grand Strand, we get more than $1 back. People come here from all over the world. We want them to have a good time. We want them to be safe, don't we? You know what? We want Washington, D.C. to be safe, don't we? Well, it's safer today than it was yesterday. It's going to be safer tomorrow. Trump said, what do you think? I said, do it. Do it. Put the troops in the field. Put them on the streets. Tell all the crooks your days are over in Washington, D.C. If you can't go to the nation's capital and be safe to visit, work, or live, then we're not a great nation. Well, we're going to be a great nation. We're going to fix D.C. He's going to do for D.C. what he did for the border, which is an amazing thing. In 6 months, we went from everybody coming to nobody coming. Why? Because people are afraid to cross Trump. That's a good thing, including me. He told Mexico, if you don't cut this crap out, we're going to put tariffs on everything you make. Guess what? They helped. Today, we had a meeting between European leaders and President Zelensky. I've never been more hopeful for peace than I am right now. How did that war start? Joe Biden withdrew from Afghanistan, and Putin licked his lips, and we've been dealing with this for 3.5 years. Obama invaded in 2014. Isn't it kind of odd they didn't do anything when Trump was president? He's the right man at the right time to end that conflict. How many of you believe that God blesses those who bless Israel? I do. No better friend of Israel than Russell Fry. That big, beautiful bill, I'm for it. The largest tax cut in American history, the largest spending cut in American history, $175 billion to keep the border secured and $150 billion for the military, not having one Democratic vote because Russell Fry helped get it out of the House. That's a big deal. And only Trump could have done that. So I'm here to tell you that I'm all in for this. I'm excited. The next 3.5 years could be the renaissance in America. We could have a safe capital. We could have a secure border, and the world's not on fire. Right? Leadership matters. The right people at the right time. America's been blessed from its founding somehow to have people come along just when we needed them. And that's Donald J. Trump. Just when we needed him. Can you imagine what would happen if Harris had won? We're in a hole nobody could have got out of. But you can't do it by being president alone. You got to have team members. Russell's been a good team member. I've been a good team member. Our delegation's been a good team member. We got 3.5 years to put more conservative judges on the bench, and damn it, we're going to do it. We got 6 conservative Supreme Court justices, which is a record, and I'm glad of the part I played in it. So this is a team sport, people. We have differences among ourselves, but we are not the enemy. We have more in common than we have in difference. Do not lose sight of what's going on in this country. Have a contest for governor. You got 15 people running. I ain't one of them. And they're all good. And I don't know who's going to win, but I know this. Whoever wins needs to be governor. And I know you're lucky to have this group of people to choose from. I know that we're lucky. North Carolina and Georgia are struggling. They can't figure this out. We figured it out. You know, we're not going to lose the ground. To those who come here from other places, glad you're here. You're probably liberated by being here. and we're going to keep you liberated. So, Scott, thank you for coming down. You articulate being a conservative as well as anybody on television. You're in the most hostile environment I know. You do it firmly with a smile on your face. And that's what I would say about Russell. Russell can talk about conservatism in a way to grow the party, not shrink the party. And I want more Republicans, not less. And I think I've done a good job of trying to work across the aisle when it makes sense and fight like hell when I have to. Now, all of us in this room have one thing in common. We believe in the Republican creed. God bless you all.
You know, the senator said he had a hand in the judges and that we're going to do more. But we all remember, I think the senator single-handedly saved Kavanaugh's nomination. Don't y'all agree with that? Have you ever seen Lindsey Graham so mad? Well, it worked. Good job. Now for the main event. Where's the fog machine? Really excited about our next speaker. It's the reason why you're all here. As Senator talked about, he is a voice of conservatism on CNN. Like that is I don't know how you do it, Scott. I mean, it's Scott Jennings dishing a little bit of common sense in a very eloquent, nice, and impassioned way. And it's 5 or 6 people shrieking. Like, I don't know how you do that. Like, don't your ears have to hurt, I'm sure. You don't have to comment. There might be a NDA on that or something. But I can comment. I don't know how he does it. But CNN is kind of refreshing now because they have that other voice on there. But that common sense is so needed. It was great to be on his radio show today. And I think right now in our nation's capital, there's a little bit of common sense again. Don't y'all like that? Right? Don't y'all like that? You know, Washington was a strange place when I used to come home and, you know, it was like a part of my stump speech. You know, it's good to be home and get recalibrated from Washington where, you know, up is down and down is up and men are women and it's just like a strange place, right? But it's refreshing now that the things that are happening in our nation's capital are because of common sense and a president who is focused on common sense and Scott Jennings who is focused on common sense. So we're happy about that. Scott Jennings is a conservative political strategist, commentator, and writer. During the George W. Bush administration, Jennings was appointed as special assistant to the president and deputy director of political affairs in February of 2006. No one defends our values harder and in a more hostile terrain sometimes than this man right here. We are proud to welcome to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Scott Jennings, everybody.
Is a conservative warrior who will give no quarter to the socialist left. Scott Jennings, we can take it right to the edge.
Completely ridiculous people are out minds versus Scott Jennings. It's great. And a United States Senator in a ludicrous display of energy is in El Salvador having my as a Nazi. I do not get it.
I think he's terrific. Scott Jennings.
Thank you all very much. That video, so I went to Michigan with the president on the 100th day in office because I'm writing a book. It's actually written. It comes out on November the 18th. It's called A Revolution of Common Sense because it's what the president said in his inaugural address, and I think it's the greatest explanation of what we are as Republicans. We're the party of common sense. And the president unexpectedly called me up onto the stage. I was there to observe. He called me up on the stage. And Russell said, it's hard to speak when the president is standing right next to you. And as I was jogging up to the stage, I knew I needed to keep this to about 15 seconds, and I wanted it to be funny. And we were in Michigan, and I said, Michigan, when we were flying in here today, I was admiring all your farms. Maybe I'll get a farm in Michigan, because when you own as many libs as I do, you got to have a place to put them all. The president approved of the joke. It's an honor to be here tonight. By the way, when I come to Republican events now, we're the fun party now. We have become the fun party. We're the fun party. All these years, 25 years I was in Republican politics, and we're the fun party now. We've got Kid Rock. Well, we had the Hulkster. Rest in peace, Hulkster. But we got all kinds of fun people in the Republican Party. We're feeling good. We're feeling optimistic. It's unusual for me to go into a room these days and hear applause. Back at the office, it's all garlic and crucifixes for yours truly. So it's it's unusual to be applauded when I go in somewhere. I'm not saying I'm abused, but I take more hits than Hunter Biden at a batting cage for crackheads. I mean, it's rough. Being the conservative at CNN is like being the designated driver at a craft beer festival. Nobody really wants you there, but deep down they know you're the only one that's going to get them home in one piece. You've seen any of these on-air debates lately, they're getting a little wild. We're actually thinking of changing the name of the network to Scott, because that's the most yelled word on CNN these days. I am constantly confronted with objectively insane arguments. I fought a guy the other night, true story. I fought a guy the other night over whether Donald Trump was actually shot in Butler, Pennsylvania. I met a real-life ear truther. He did not believe it. And a few weeks before that, the same guy, he was dressing me down on TV. He said, "Can you believe it? Donald Trump has taken over the military, of all things." And I said, "Well, under our Constitution, the president is the commander-in-chief of the military, right?" He looked at me like I'd invented the wheel. You might be asking yourself, why does someone like Scott willingly check himself into an insane asylum on a nightly basis? But the truth is, I would not trade this job and I would not trade this moment for anything, because I believe that conservatives and Republicans have to go boldly into every arena, especially the media, and stand up for our values. Because if you believe in the future of Western civilization, if you believe in the future of our country, then we cannot recede, we cannot concede, not in politics, not in education, not in culture, not in business, and certainly not in the media. We have to show up, we have to speak clearly, and we have to defend what we know to be true, even when the room is not full of applause. That is why I am there. And that's why I fight. And that's why I'm in South Carolina tonight, because Russell Fry believes in that same kind of courage. I want to thank the Republican elected officials that are here tonight, Senator Graham, the Congresspeople, all your state officials, all your candidates. Thank you all for having the courage to run and to serve and to choose to spend your life not just saving America, but I truly, deeply believe that we are in the middle of the fight for the future of Western civilization. And these people who are running and leading us are part of that fight. Republican leaders like these are vital, because at this moment, we have to keep pushing. Now is the time to go all in. We have momentum, thanks to the president. And you can tell that we do, because the meltdown happening on the American left right now is absolutely glorious. Now, this is the part where I warn the crowd. I'm fixing to slander the Democrats. If you're squeamish, you may want to exit. It's going to get ugly. As we stand here tonight, the Democratic Party is but a puddle, nationally and here in South Carolina. Well, nationally it's a puddle. Here it already evaporated, I'm sorry to say. But I feel bad. I feel bad for some of these Democrats I run into on CNN right now. They're in a political party that has a 33% approval rating. That might be generous. The lowest in the history of the Wall Street Journal poll, 33%. One poll I saw had about 19%. The party of FDR has become the party of DNR, do not resuscitate. Now, I'm not a mathematician, but it turns out that when you die on the wrong side of every 80-20 hill in America, you wind up closer to the 20 than the 80 in terms of public opinion. And that's what's happened to the Democratic Party. Illegal immigration. Have you ever seen Democrats fight harder than they did for the Maryland man, Abrego Garcia? Now, most of these Democrats, Russell knows, they sleep through these committee hearings. You want to wake one up? Give them an MS-13 gangbanger living in the U.S. illegally for 13 years. Then they wake up and they fight as hard as they possibly can. Crime. Senator Graham said it. Every Democrat in Congress knows crime is out of control in Washington, D.C. I go there every week. You get off the train and you trip over 2 drug deals and 2 public acts of lewdness before you even get to the taxi stand. So the president decides to do something about it. And look out! The Democrats are awake again. The violent criminals need their support. I've never seen anything like it. The principal constituencies of the Democratic Party are illegal aliens, illegal violent criminals, and the pro-Hamas, death to America protesters who are clogging up the streets and college campuses of America. That is their principal constituency. It is wild what they've become. And because of it, in every corner of the American left, there is turmoil. We've got Democratic politicians and liberal journalists who can't decide if Hamas is a terror group or just a misunderstood social club with rocket launchers. Based on the propaganda I see, I think they're going with social club right now. And yet they have the audacity to call our president and everyone in here a Nazi? Absolutely not. They have the audacity to call our Republican friend Sidney Sweeney a Nazi of all people. What is happening on the American left? The only thing going right for these Democrats is Nancy Pelosi's stock portfolio. I sort of want the president to appoint her to be head of the Social Security Administration. If he did it, we could all retire in 6 months. It would be outrageous. But something is very wrong on the American left. 33%. 33%. It's barely a group chat at this point. Over the last 3 elections, the president has rescued us from the fever swamps of the cultural left. The American people are responding. Our opponents care more about dudes who want to be women than dudes who want to be dudes. They care more about illegal aliens than American citizens, and they care more about the Palestinian flag than they do the American flag. There's about 3,100 counties in America. In about half, Trump grew the Republican vote in about half of these counties each time he appeared on the ballot. Pretty good. Where did the Democrats grow? 57 counties. 1,500 counties going one way, 57 going the other. And in the 57, they're nearly all the richest counties in America. In working class America, in middle America, in the core of America, the folks who are worried about getting up, going to work, putting in an honest day, taking care of their kids, and trying to leave the world a little better than they found it, they're going this way. In the 57, well, they're busy booking Pilates instructors for their labradoodles. And meanwhile, our president is juggling peace in Europe, we pray, peace in the Middle East. He's deporting violent illegal aliens. He's cutting your taxes, and he's cutting funding for transgender operas in Peru. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what winning looks like and feels like right now. He's having the best opening 7 months of any presidency in the modern era. Absolutely. It's a miracle how fast he's moving. The border is secure, as you've heard. It's effectively closed. The aliens are being deported. Energy, totally changed direction on that. We're trading in windmills and unicorn flatulence for what we know works. Coal, natural gas, nuclear. Trump has rescued us from a European future. when it comes to energy. Bureaucracy, shrinking. These videos, Russell, of the bureaucrats packing their boxes out to the parking lot ought to be labeled not suitable for work, as far as I'm concerned. DEI, on the ash heap of history's worst ideas. And if that weren't enough for you, the Clintons, the Obamas, the Harrises, the Bidens, the leftist media, the narratives, the lies, and the political information distribution complex, gone, 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 thanks to the President of the United States. Now, we have peace breaking out abroad, and more to come. We are restoring prosperity at home to your benefit. And just as he promised in his inaugural address, we are in the midst of a revolution of common sense. As I mentioned, I'm writing a book about this. I went to the Oval Office in February to pitch the president on it. I didn't know him that well, truthfully. We hadn't spent much time together, but they ushered me in, and I opened the door. And at the risk of having only the second best impression of the president, I will tell you what he said. You look terrific. I mean, you look good on TV, but you actually look terrific. Have a seat next to the other Scott. I'd walked into the middle of a cabinet meeting, so I plopped down next to Scott Bessent. The president says, does everybody here know Scott? He's like our best guy. Now, to be honest, he used to be a little bit average. But then I came along, and now he's terrific. If you have $30, you can read the rest. It's on Amazon right now. I encourage you to go buy it. The man, you know, as I was sitting in the Oval that day, I thought, I have no idea who was running the country for the last 4 years, but I sure as hell know who's running it right now. This man has negotiated 6 and hopefully 7 peace deals, and he has eliminated paper straws. Either should get him the Nobel Peace Prize as far as I'm concerned. And he's doing it with a political opposition that still thinks the word merit is offensive. But under President Trump and this Republican Party, we stand for a strong America that does not and will not apologize for its faith, its history, or its heroes. We encourage, absolutely. We encourage work instead of government dependence. We prioritize American citizens over illegal aliens. We keep taxes low on the people who actually pay them, the working men and women of this country. And the president and our Republican leaders like Russell and the men and women who are gathered here tonight are doing it in the face of a hysterical opposition that has not recovered from the trauma of last November. Incredibly, the reaction of the Democrats to last November's election was to promote Jasmine Crockett to the head of their political party. Now, it's hard to be mad at a political party that scores so many own goals, but that's one of the biggest ones I've ever seen. But I'll tell you what you can be mad at them for. Rooting against America. We are a two-party system. One party roots for America, one party currently roots against it. When the president launched missiles into Iran, a righteous decision, by the way, they were desperate for him to miss. Impeach the president, they said. When the president rebalances our international trading relationships and puts American workers first, they desperately hope for a recession. You can hear it in their voice when they come on your television. When he brings the leaders of warring countries together for peace talks, they scoff and they hope for it all to fail and fall apart, just so they can say, Trump failed. They would rather have wars continue than to have to admit that President Trump is in fact a peacemaker, a restoration of Reagan's example of peace through strength. It is sad, but it is true. They root for American failure. We all know it. When the president does something, anything, the instinct of his opposition is to hope for the worst and then to tell you the worst happened whether it did or not. They root for American failure. They run our country down every single day. And why? Because deep down, they do not believe in American exceptionalism. They hate what we stand for: freedom, individual talent and merit, free speech, our Constitution, our Western civilization, our way of life. To the modern liberal, the American founding is a hateful concept. They believe the country is rotten at its core. They see the world in two groups: oppressors and oppressed. And folks, that's how they justify everything they do. They see the American experiment as an oppressive regime that has done more harm than good. And therefore, the only thing to do is rip it out, root and branch, to start over, to remake our country and the world in the image of your average Mom Donnie or AOC. Excited yet, comrades? It is the beating heart of our opposition: socialism. It is an un-American future. 33%. This is what rooting against America gets you: a 33% approval rating. They know they're failing. They know it. Believe me, I interact with them every single day. And I sit with people every night who are desperate for Republicans to divide against each other. They love it when we trash each other. They rejoice. It's their only hope. They can't beat us, so they're trying to will into existence a situation where we beat ourselves through division and discord. But it's not true. Whatever intra-party conversation we're having, everybody here knows the true mission: to save our country from those who seek to tear it down from the inside, and along the way, to save Western civilization. I get asked sometimes, what is the ideology of the Republicans in 2025? Hasn't it changed a lot since you started? It's a good question. Some things are evolving, but the through line is this: the Republican Party is the party of common sense. Just like the president said, it is the only party willing to defend Western civilization at every turn, and we are the only party fully committed to defending the irreplaceable fundamental right to free speech. That is a platform that has me primed for battle every single day. We believe in America. We root for America. We cheer for America. We believe in America, its founding and its future. And like many of you, I spend most of my day thinking about my kids. I have 4, 16, 11, 9, and 7, all boys. I think about their lives, and what do I have to do to give them the best opportunity to achieve whatever their version of the American dream will be. And when I think about their futures, I don't just want them to grow up in a rich country. I want them to grow up in a good country that believes in the truth, that protects free speech, that celebrates family, and that defends life, born and unborn. That is why I'm in the fight. That is why you all are in the fight. That is why Russell is in the fight. Every day he's here fighting to protect his family and yours from an un-American future that none of us wants and none of us would even recognize. That's why this party matters. That's why events like tonight's matters. If we don't speak up, if we don't go into whatever lion's dens we can get ourselves into, who will? If we don't defend the truth, who will? My warning to you is this: if we don't show up, the spaces that we abandon will be filled by people who despise everything that we cherish. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for having me in South Carolina tonight. I want to thank you all for being involved in politics. I want to thank you for supporting Russell. This is a good man with a good heart. You want your congressman to be in it for the right reasons. You want your congressman and all your politicians to be in it for the right reasons. And that's who Russell is. He's in it for you. Thank you for supporting what I'm doing on television right now. You have my word. I will defend what we know to be right and true and honest every single day. God bless you all, and God bless South Carolina.
Sit here for 1 second. How about Scott Jennings, everybody? Come on, don't leave yet, Scott. You know, you're the voice of reason on CNN, and I think you're right. When the voice of reason for a political party is Bill Maher, you know that we have reached a new low. But it's true. Thank you for being here, coming down from Kentucky. 1,000 places he could be. We're going to wrap up tonight shortly. But I do want to thank a few people before we go. If you are a volunteer that helped put this event together, please stand. If you're in the room, please stand. It takes a lot to do this, coordinating. Tons of volunteers. First Tuesday Strategies, the best political consultants in South Carolina. Thank you. And Angela McCallum. Where is Angela, by the way? There she is. Angela McCallum. She has been running all over the place for weeks putting this event together. If you had a great time tonight, give her a round of applause. She has done a phenomenal job. I think she almost had an episode today, but the event seems like it was a success, so she's still here with us. But the volunteers, Team Fry is always laying it on the line. Ever since we first ran for Congress, we were the little engine that could. Everyone said, you can't win, you can't raise enough money, you can't do this, you can't do that. And we did. Look, tonight is a great event. Thank you for all of our table sponsors for being here. Thank you to the people who are here. If you came with a table, look, it takes a lot to do this. It takes financial resources to do this. And it's not just a campaign. It's pushing this message, not only in the district, but in South Carolina and across. We travel, we help other candidates, because it doesn't matter if we win this seat but lose the Congress. We need to hold the Congress. So if you can, I would love for your help and your support. Take a bumper sticker, give a donation. It all matters. It all adds up. Thank you. Please. Before we head home, I want to take a few moments to recognize a few individuals that live right here in the 7th District who have fought tirelessly for our shared conservative values. We did this last year, a couple honorees. The first honoree tonight is receiving an award that is very close to my heart. And to the hearts of Republicans across the state. Earlier this year, we lost a true warrior in the conservative movement, Jerry McDaniel. You remember Jerry, Robin? Jerry she was on Trump's original campaign in 2015. She was a tireless advocate. You could always find her at the Republican headquarters when we had one. She was making phone calls. She was going shopping. She was at your local party meeting. She was knocking on doors. She was rallying the troops in so many ways. She was never afraid to roll up her sleeves and get the job done. If you ever watched her work, you were amazed at the way that she led and the way that she was able to be effective in her grassroots activism. So to honor her incredible legacy, last year we called it the Conservative Excellence Award. This year, we're renaming it to the Jerry McDaniel Conservative Excellence Award. Linda, I see you over there. By the way, Jerry had a lot of friends in here, but and a couple of street fighters. Like, you never wanted to get crossways with Jerry McDaniel. You always knew where you stood. Isn't that right, Linda? Before we present this award, I want to do a brief moment of silence for her and her family and the loss that we all share in South Carolina because she's no longer with us. Amen. So this year's first award recipient of the Jerry McDaniel Conservative Excellence Award is a true rock star, by the way. He is a gentleman who wears the craziest Hawaiian shirts that you've ever seen. He's from Pennsylvania. This man has made more phone calls for Donald Trump than I thought was humanly possible. And I'm going to butcher the amount of calls, but I think it was around 55,000 phone calls. Oh my gosh, double it, 114,000. If you've ever seen Pat Miley work, Pat Miley has one phone in his ear, an earpiece over here. His laptop's calling people too. Like, I don't know how he does it. Like, AT&T should have hired you a long time ago for their switchboard. In addition, he has helped me make a ton of phone calls and be active in the base. When Democrats wanted to have a fake town hall for me this year, it was Pat Miley who exercised his First Amendment rights so beautifully and had a counter demonstration in honor of them. Oh, and you have a Hawaiian shirt with my logo on it. I didn't even see that. But Pat Miley is a true conservative warrior at the grassroots level. Some people give a little bit of money. Some people come and door knock maybe on every third Saturday. Pat Miley is doing it every single day and pushing Republicans, including our president, across the finish line. This year, let's honor you with the Jerry McDaniel Conservative Excellence Award. Come on up here. Thank you, Patrick. Yes, sir. We'll be careful going down the steps. When we have Trump 2028, he's going to make 250,000 phone calls, right? That's a joke. That's a joke. I don't want to trigger anybody in the media here. Thank you, Pat. Our next award here is for, hold on, I'm losing my spot here. Where do we go? Is the Public Service Patriot Award, created to honor a public servant who has dedicated their life and their career to serving their communities with integrity, with vision, with a little bit of grit. We need some grit. Marilyn Hatley, Mayor of North Myrtle Beach. If you've never met Marilyn Hatley, you need to. There is no stronger fighter on the local level for conservative governance than the mayor of North Myrtle Beach. And she unfortunately is leaving us this year. Like, why? Stay. Marilyn Hatley, when you think of North Myrtle Beach and you think of their low taxes, you think of their safe streets, you think of their culture that they have in North Myrtle Beach, it is because of a visionary that has led as mayor for a long time, and that is Marilyn Hatley. So as she retires, unfortunately, we're sorry to see you go, Marilyn. You were so great. We want to thank you for your years of public service to the people of North Myrtle Beach, to the Grand Strand, and to the entire state. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating this year's recipient of the Public Service Patriot Award, Mayor Marilyn Hatley. You know, Marilyn, surprisingly, this was wonderful. And when I first ran for Congress, you know, you're running against an incumbent. Endorsements are, you know, interesting to find when you're running against an incumbent, even though I knew that we would win. Marilyn did too. And when she said, yes, I'll endorse you, I said, you will? Like, oh, I got one. She said, yeah. I don't give a darn. She might have used a different term, but I don't give a darn. But she's done a great job in North Myrtle Beach. Thank you. And the last recipient, and certainly not least, of the night, recognizes the efforts of a young person who is diligently working and engaged in the conservative cause. This young woman has proven herself a rising star in the conservative movement, organizing events with precision. It takes a lot, as you can see, pouring her heart into every detail, always staying true to her principles. I first met her because she is engaged to my former campaign manager who's in the audience, Jacob Carbaugh. They're getting married next year in April. It is my distinct pleasure to present the initial Fry's Rising Star Award. Has demonstrated an exceptional commitment to the conservative cause in advancing our values. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the 2025 Rising Star recipient, Savannah Nodine. Come on up. And she has to put up with Jacob, which is just so tough. All right, guys. In the words of a great band from the 90s, Semisonic, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. No, thank you for everyone for being part of tonight. It was a huge event. We've more than doubled the amount of people that have come to this event. This is going to be a yearly function. We've got governor candidates this year. In years to come, we'll have presidential candidates grace our presence. But the fight continues, and it's important. Think about that every time. You get mired in the details and this and that. We fight for a cause. We fight for a better tomorrow. We fight for a better America for your children and grandchildren, my little James. And I think Scott's right. We think about our kids when we're in the arena. What is this country going to look like? And being in public service matters. Casting those votes on city council or Congress matter. What you do matters too. There's an old Boy Scout motto that you leave your campsite better than you found it. And that is true on everything that we do in life. That we leave our community, our church, our state, and yes, our country a little bit better than we found it. Thank you, guys. God bless the United States of America. Thank y'all.
rejoice in her life. Someday, someday, she will return. She had a place in his life. He never made a thing twice. As she rises to her apology, anybody else would choose.